We are Lagos Talks 91.3.
Let's talk. The midday show first. We're being excited about it. Welcome to the midday show, guys. I'm here with you from 11 a.m. to 4 p.m. Keeping you entertained, keeping you very well informed, making you happy, making you smile, making you feel alive, and a whole lot more. And Fridays, as you know, what we do is the People's Perspective from 11 a.m. to 12. And I have a co-host, as you know, my unequivocal co-host, Seun Kuti.
Oh, thanks, Ify, for giving me such a rousing introduction. You know, I feel important.
I like that.
I feel like I should be here.
You are supposed to be here,
Yes,
indeed.
yes.
Anyways, guys, we all know that the People's Perspective is about dissecting the topical and the pertinent issues from your spectrum, from your perspective. And so we get to create a platform for you to bring in your different perspectives, your opinions to the table, so that together we can give whatever the topic is a holistic view and hopefully come up with solutions that would affect us or benefit us one way or the other. And so we have three top stories we're going to be talking about today. The first would be the recent Sharia law death sentence by hanging pronounced in Kano Upper Sharia Court. The second would be the former Minister of Petroleum, Desiani Maduike's seemingly ironic admonition, speaking to the Ijo youths. And the third would be the Lagos State recent regulations on e-hailing taxi companies like Uber, Bolt, and the list goes on and on and on. And so we're just going to quickly delve into it. We're going to start off with this musician. You might have heard a little bit about it, but we're going to break it down to you. And thankfully, we also have a lawyer who's going to be giving us a legal perspective as regards what really this really is about. And so on Monday, a Kano Upper Sharia court sentenced a 22-year-old man to death by hanging for blaspheming Prophet Muhammad. Now, the presiding judge, Kadi Aliyu Muhammad Kani, actually gave this judgment after finding Yahya Aminu, that's his name, guilty as charged. And he is a resident of Sharifai in Kano, and he was accused of committing blasphemy against Prophet Muhammad in a song that he circulated via WhatsApp, and this happened in March, right? And so after the incident, protesters burnt down his family home. They led a procession to the Kano Hisbak Command's headquarters in protest against the singer's action, and the court has also sentenced someone else, who is Umar Farouk, to 10 years imprisonment for making derogatory statements concerning the Almighty Allah in a public argument as well. And now one area that we did hear a lot about was the fact that the youths of that particular community are grieved, and on the 4th of March they staged a protest on the premises of the Kano Hisbah office over what they described as an alleged blasphemous song, like I did mention. Whilst addressing the protesters, the Kano Hisbah commander, Harun Shina, actually said that the officials in the state were on top of the situation and that the man's parents as well had been arrested. And they were under police custody at the time he was making this statement. Now, the protesters alleged that the nonchalant attitude of the government and the security agents in the state over this issue informed their decision to embark on this protest. And so the convener of this protest, his name is Idris Ibrahim, and he said, and I quote, "Our mission is to alert the government to do the needful. Otherwise, we will take the law into our own hands." Well, that sounds very scary. And investigations actually did reveal that this said singer, he is a follower of the Tijaniya sect, which is a member of the Fada group, I beg your pardon, who are known for their preference of Ibrahim Niasse, who is a famous Senegalese Islamic scholar over Prophet Muhammad. Right, so there is, of course, a division between the people that believe in Ibrahim Niasse and then those that believe in the Prophet Muhammad. And this is where all this came from. Yeah. And so before we begin to just dissect it, we have our lawyer, Shinwa Jasa, on the line. Yeah. So let's just get a legal perspective and then we'll move deeper into the conversation. Hello, Sharon, good morning. Good morning, how's it going? And your namesake is in the studio, Seun Kuti.
Yeah, Seun. Alpha.
Seun.
Good morning,
All right. So, Seun, we are, talking about this recent death sentence by hanging in the Kano Sharia court. Now, some northern states are governed by, the Sharia law alongside the constitution. Now, one wonders how it is possible that laws that have this nature when it comes to religion or being emanated from some sort of religion is being backed up by our constitution. And so when we talk about situations like the death sentence, people begin to wonder what really is the nature of the relationship between the Sharia law and the constitution. How do they stand, side by side? Which is stronger, which is more superior? So would you like to just give us a legal perspective as regards, that relationship?
Or any laws that will be made. And so in zeroing on Sharia court, the interesting thing is that within the hierarchy of courts, a Sharia court of appeal is created.
Okay.
It does not create any other Sharia court for the state, but some have taken the creation of the Sharia court of appeal as an implied authority for the possible creation of Sharia courts by the state. And this recent reemergence in 2001 started with the governor of Zamfara State, when he decided that Sharia courts, Sharia law would then have some wider application than personal laws for Muslims. The idea the Constitution had for the Sharia Court of Appeal was to deal with issues of personal law which Sharia is applicable to. But what then happened when Nigeria came back to this current dispensation of democracy was that Sharia law was expanded to include the basic criminal laws and other civil matters within the northern states, separate from just restraining it to personal issues of Muslims or just applying only to Muslims. So generally, all the states have powers to make laws on items not contained in the exclusive legislative list, and if in the concurrent list where the federal government has not made a law. So you find that most states have the power to create their own criminal laws in that state. The issue then comes that the content of the criminal laws and some of the civil laws in the northern states have been influenced by Sharia law and contain specific provisions that reflect the position of Sharia law on some issues, which then makes it that it's not only applicable to Muslims in those territories, it becomes applicable to everybody, which is, for example, they can ban drinking of alcohol or eating and some of those other things that are not permitted under Sharia law, but that are now part of the criminal laws of that state. Now, of course, the conversation continues to go that what is the limit of the powers of the state to include certain content in the laws that they make, which may not expressly be forbidden by the Constitution, but is not also clear there that it is allowed by the Constitution expressly. We have a lot of implied powers being used, that the states have powers to legislate and provide laws for anything not ceded to the federal government. And so then you then have their courts that operate to enforce these criminal laws. We know that we still have some laws in Nigeria that have the death sentence as part of the punishment when the person is found guilty.
Yes.
But then we continue to look at some issues that appear to us socially as soft or maybe not necessarily violent crimes, but which can be offensive
Okay.
or deemed unacceptable by a society or a group of people or a religion. So you find laws that still sort of criminalize conversations or actions that may be deemed to affect such a large group of people. So we have general blasphemy laws.
Okay.
So
I'm so sorry, Seun.
Criminal
We would have to wrap this segment up so that we can move on to other stories. But before you go, what are the options available to this young man currently? You know, now that this death sentence has been given, is this final?
No, he can appeal. He has the right of appeal. I reckon that even from the reports that were mentioned, he has a 30-day window for him to file an appeal, for them to review that. So he has the right of appeal from that decision that was handed to him.
All right. Thank you so very much, Seun. It's always a pleasure having you on my show.
Thanks, Seun.
Thank you for having me. All right. Thank you, Seun.
All righty. There you go, Seun. Really, what do you think now that we could see that he has a 30-day window? What do you think this means moving forward?
I mean, I don't even think about his appeal. I think the judgment in itself is un-African. You know, I think, you know, it is important that we as African people realize that, you know, Muhammad or Jesus Christ did not give us freedom in our different countries. In these countries that we all exist in and able to walk and sit in the radio, you know, everybody in Nigeria thinks these things that we are able to do were just handed to us on the platter. They don't have for black men to do anything in this world, for African people to engage both the Arabic and Western systems in this world was a struggle in every step of the way. We were never invited to go to school, to vote, to be in radio, to go on. Everything we've done was as a result of struggle. So people have died, literally died, giving their life for us to be able to be, for us to be able to exist. These people are insulted every day in Africa. Be it by their complete removal from our schools, from our history. Nobody talks about them. That is an insult. Then even when you now talk about them, you say Nkrumah, you say Lumumba, you talk about people open their mouth and insult these people's memory. Even my father that died for this country. People will open their mouth and die for those that made us. And that is not a crime. Nobody will come and sentence you to death. There will not even be stigma for betraying such people's memories. But we are still in 2020 and African people are dying because they insult an Arabic man, be him whoever he is. How many Arabs will be killed in their own country for saying anything bad about an African person of any standing?
All right, Seun, let's go to the phone lines to just see what people are saying. 0809-234-5913, 0809-222-0913, and also 0809-191-3913. If you'd like to join the conversation, you can call any of these phone lines. You can also send a WhatsApp message to 0809-234-5913, and on Twitter at Lagos Talks 913. Please use the hashtag #ThePeoplesPerspective so that we can see your tweets.
Because I think there's nothing that these our religious leaders, political leaders are afraid more of than a Pan-Africanized populace. When young African people begin to Pan-Africanize themselves, it scares these establishment people to their bones. So when you see this young man turning his back on Muhammad and embracing an African, even though you want to be, that's why I also tell my Christian friends, why are we facing the Vatican if we want to be Christians? There's the Coptic church in Egypt that is older than the Vatican and is African. So if you want to express some kind of Christianity, embrace the one that puts somebody like you in power, that your God and your Messiah looks like you. So this guy is worshipping an African man as the true Messiah, and that is his real crime.
Let's take some calls. Lagos Talks. Lagos Talks.
Yeah, hello, good morning.
Hi, good morning. Who's speaking, please?
This is Henry from Adigule.
All right, Henry, let's hear your perspective.
Actually, Seun spoke so fantastically well.
Okay.
You understand? But the way Africans they have a problem of identity. You understand? So we Africans, we always like to associate ourselves with other people. Why can't we be African? It sounds very, 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 very important that we have to imitate other cultures. Why can't you be African and remain African? I'm so pained when I hear things like this. But it is right for someone in the person of shame to come out and speak these outside people. So we have to do away with all sorts of religion and imbibe our culture. I think that is of utmost importance. Thank you so much.
Right.
Yo, thank you. I also I'm not one to impose my own personal views of spirituality on people, but I always say nothing must be above your Africanness, especially in the situation that we find ourselves today. Look at this Idris guy that led this protest, trying to act like he was acting alone or out of the interest of the larger community. There are children dying in Kano from hunger. Where was his crowd to go and protest? Ganduje, the governor of Kano, was caught on camera receiving dollar. Where was this protest? It's true now. He was receiving dollar in front of everybody.
All right, Seun, one of the listeners actually did mention that us as Nigerians and to an extent Africans, we have an identity problem. And we know that currently this is a part of the Sharia law. Now, taking a look at a solution-based perspective, what do you think needs to happen to not only eradicate such a law, but also drive that Africanness?
I think a law like Sharia law is something that must be admitted to those that put themselves under its jurisdiction. I don't think if I'm not a Muslim, Sharia law should do anything. I mean, as long as we're in Nigeria, which is a secular state, I'm not saying I'm in Saudi Arabia. If I go to Arab land, I want to be. But I'm in my country, I'm in Nigeria. If I want to submit myself to Sharia law, it should be a choice. Nobody should force me, to submit myself to Sharia law. I mean, it just smacks of control. I mean, it's just a way, because when you have political elites who have so many poor people that they've bamboozled, I mean, it's not too different from the way churches operate here in the South. Yes. In the brainwashing of its population, where that the politicians are not able to meet people's ambition, so you try to make them the problem. Oh, it's because you are a sinner, you are suffering, or you don't follow Allah well, that's why you are suffering, you are not submissive enough, that's why you are suffering. So these excuses must continue to pop up when people are failing the people they are supposed to represent.
Yeah, aside from how atrocious this sentencing is in the first place, we know that every single community or every state would always have some form of stratification, be it religious or ethnicity or gender or social class or what have we. But the fact that our constitution that ought to be governing us as Nigerians supports a particular religious law, I believe that if that doesn't speak a division or some sort of inequality that indirectly influences our way of thinking or our way of seeing our brothers and sisters, I don't know what else speaks inequality. And I feel like there should be some sort of change or transformation, because yes, in as much as we want to drive that Africanness, if that law still exists, there will be so many stories like this to come.
Definitely. I also remember the woman, that was sentenced to death after she was raped.
Yes.
And things like that.
Stoning,
so yes. This is 2020 Africa. This is what I keep saying. Like, we're in Africa, we're 2020, we've been independent since 1960. People blame Nigerian people, African people all over the world about our political astuteness. But we have to realize, as I said in the beginning of this show, even in the political setting,
yes,
Africans were not invited to vote, to participate. For a long time, from 1891, especially in Nigeria, we had no political participation in 1960. We did small for 6 years. Then military came. Then from 1966 to basically 1999, no political participation. So the people of this country do not know how to engage. And then now, the ones that know, our elite, political, business, religion, that should lead the people, that should create the platforms to enlighten people, see the people's ignorance as an advantage for them to amass our commonwealth. So I think that's
an unending cycle.
Yeah,
so what do you think can break that cycle?
The people must begin to organize themselves on their own interests. We as the people of Nigeria must begin to create this. That's why I said the last week's show that the Nigerian professionals who were on the other side of this elite that have the resources, the next group are the professionals that have some resources. We need to come together to create alternative platforms that can educate, rehabilitate, and prepare the people for the Nigeria that we want to live in future. You know?
All right, let's get some more calls. If you'd like to comment on this story, what's your perspective? Please bring it to the table.
We live within the constitutionality of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, and unless you want a society that is organized, that is the way our society is organized right now, and all of us must be able to live within it. To change it, we have to go through the due process to be able to sell some of the ideas that you have been talking about, Africanism and the rest of it, which Fela was also been talking about, and Nkrumah and the rest of it, to them. So basically, we have to go through to change the constitution of our country, how we operate, so that we can have one country, one system. I do not agree with one country, two systems that is running now, wherein if I travel from Lagos, for example, to Kano, I will be operating under a different law. That is dangerous.
All right, Adeyemi, we have to let you go so we can get more calls. But thank you very much for your take. This is coming from Adegboyega on Twitter saying, I just want to know if Seun has an idea what would have happened if it involves Ifa or Ogun. These are African gods. If someone goes against those, what would have happened? At least,
I've not heard anybody kill anybody for going. I've been initiated into Ifa spirituality since I was 16.
Okay.
And I don't think I've heard or anybody told me that they kill people for not doing one thing or saying one other thing. These are what you watch in your Hollywood Nollywood movies about the danger and the wickedness of African gods. You know, but let's remember that all these films are sponsored by churches and mosques. You know, so before you start
interesting
before you start believing TV and movie.
Alright guys, we're also live on Instagram at Lagos Talks 913. So if you want to see what's going on in the studio, you can go check us out on Instagram right now. Sorry.
And also what we have to discuss about this whole Sharia thing, I think, is if our constitution allows, if our ultimate constitution allows the freedom of speech.
Yes.
Then where does that come into play?
Exactly.
In blasphemy laws?
Very true.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
I mean, so what are we saying? Are we putting Sharia now over the word and the will of the entirety of the Nigerian people?
Yes, and I feel like that's what Shane was also explaining. Maybe that's the reason why the Constitution also has a provision where he can appeal.
Yeah, I mean,
so where the Constitution overall can override certain rulings from the Sharia courts.
It is highly disgraceful though that in 2020 an African man is going to be killed for saying something about Muhammad. I'm just sorry to say it is despicable. Whoever is involved, all of you in charge, is absolutely despicable.
All right, it is 11:25. Before taking a break, let's take this last call and then we'll move on to take a break. Lagos Talks.
Yeah, Lagos Talks. Good morning.
Good morning. Who's speaking?
Yeah, my name is.
Sorry, we didn't hear your name.
My name is Moni.
Okay, welcome.
And, I'm going to disagree with you.
Okay, let's hear you. Okay.
In Lagos and in many parts of the southwest, till today, you still have Oro Festival. And I know that when they're having Oro Festival, particularly in places like Ikorodu, you dare not move at certain hours. Is that constitutional? I don't think so.
That's traditional.
But no, hold on, please. But when we say something is I think what we should also remember is that we've also used all kinds of religions, both the traditional and the conventional, to abuse people's rights. So I think the law, what we should be looking at, is not looking at one kind of abuse, but generally all kinds of abuses.
Okay, I would come and say to you, how do you say someone used the law to abuse your rights when it's the law that protects one's rights? Whatever abuses one's right is unlawful because the Constitution protects your right. Now, to bring tradition into play, we are traditional people still in Nigeria, and there are certain traditions. And as I said, where Oro people perform their Oro, have you ever heard there's Oro happening in VI or in Lekki or in Ikoyi? They know the communities where there are enough of them to participate in such things where there will be no kind of friction, where everybody, as I said, everybody submits willingly to the rule. It's not imposed.
Not everybody submits easily to Oro.
Like
point
who?
Of correction.
Like who doesn't submit?
Point of correction. I don't submit to Oro.
Okay, so
I don't submit to Oro.
Move out of the neighborhood.
When as Oro, hold on. When as Oro, you decide that I cannot move by 5 a.m. Maybe I'm going to work or 5:30. When I'm going to the mosque or somewhere else, or even a Christian returning back from a video. That is also unconstitutional.
Okay, but when you go to your vigil and I can't sleep in my house, when you go to your vigil and I can't sleep in my house because your church is making noise, is that constitutional or not? Are you abusing my rights?
Okay,
we are living in a society. Do not compare taking a man's life because of saying a word. Do not compare taking a man's life because he spoke a word to observing traditions. You people like you are the ones that entrench oppression in Nigeria because you take things out of context just to prove a point to help your oppressors continue. That is what you are doing. They want to kill a man. They want to kill a man because he says a word.
You are the one taking things out of
They want to kill a man. They want to kill a man because he says a word.
All right, so I'd have to let you go. Thank you very much.
And you say it's the same thing as observing tradition. Is Sharia African tradition? I mean, I don't understand.
All right, so let's take a break. It is 11:29. After our break, we're going to move on to other top stories, so stick around.
We are Lagos Talks 91.3.
Let's talk.
What I'm saying is, the governor of Lagos, for example, can he count the amount of assistants that he has? Personal assistants. He can't count. They have to create jobs that are not even jobs, even around themselves. You understand? They have lost grip. I don't think they have because what Nigeria needs is massive sacrifice by the elite of this country. Massive sacrifice, meaning that they will stop doing things only because it is profitable. They'll be willing to take serious hits to their own personal economic well-being for the betterment of the collective well-being. And these people are just completely unwilling to do so. I mean, completely unwilling. They don't want to take one step. They are willing to throw some tokens around to influencers, celebrities, people with standing in society that, they need to keep happy. Yeah. Well, not all of us, but if they have enough of us doing the job, then, they can keep the ship sailing for a little while longer.
Before we go to the phone line, Seun, what about people that believe that these individuals, for instance, that they got dealt the wrongest card that life could deal them here in Nigeria, because we already know how difficult it is, and they were able to go through all the challenges to achieve their current level of success? Should we say that it then becomes an obligation that they then begin to build maybe infrastructure?
Which challenges?
And so do you think that every single member of the elite
bring your financial history? Bring it. Let's go through. Let's see where your money came from. Let's stop all this line. Bring your financial history. Let's see where you got your money from. If it's not from one contract, one politician give you one job, everybody in Nigeria. See, except we invent things in this country, except we manufacture things in this country. Yeah. If we do not do those two things, every wealth in this country is our commonwealth.
Okay. Let's take some calls.
Show me what you are doing.
Lagos Talks, good afternoon. Who's speaking? Or rather, good morning. Who's speaking?
Hello. Good morning.
Good morning.
This is Richard.
Hi, Richard. Welcome.
Thank you very much. Good morning, Seun.
Hello. How are you, Richard, my brother?
God bless you, my brother. I don't know what you believe in, but whatever you believe in, God bless you.
Thank you. I believe in myself and the people.
Talking about this Uber thing, it's for me, it's just colonization all over again. I was reading in the news yesterday when Ghana shut a lot of retail shops in Ghana because they were by foreigners. They have a law over there where retail business is reserved for Ghanaians. Sure. That's a country that has her people and her youth in particular at heart. Now, in Nigeria, it's very, very difficult to run a business. You just talked about your wife going to the markets, prices of things have skyrocketed because fuel is practically 150 naira per liter. The local guys can hardly go into this e-hailing business because somehow they get frustrated. Now we have the foreigners coming in, and already before this tax regime coming up, they are already exploiting Nigerian drivers.
Of course.
Now, mind you, these drivers are graduates. Some of them even have second degrees. And they are not in the US, they are not in the UK. They are in their own country, driving for a living. That's to tell you how pathetic it is. As bad as the government now comes up with another regime of taxation. Now tell me, how is this not stealing your youth? How is this not stifling the future of your country? In other developed countries, the governments are putting in place measures to cushion the effects of COVID-19.
Exactly.
But in Nigeria, with the coming of every day, as we wake up every day, there's a new tax regime by one agency or the other. So, I mean, it's terrible. And Seun was saying something about the elite being selfish. It's nobody's going to hand over anything to you on the platter.
That's true.
The youths must wake up and take their future back.
All right, Richard.
Already the future is sleeping off.
All right, Richard. Thank you very much for your take.
And before we go on this Uber issue, I have a personal disdain for this cab hailing business because I'm an African person. Because I have lived abroad among immigrant communities. Because I know that car sharing, ride sharing is an African invention. Because I know that African immigrants in Europe and in America started this whole gypsy cab, they used to call it, business. And the cops will beat, harass, arrest. In Brooklyn, we used to have dollar cabs to take us from Flatbush down to Williamsburg for $1, and all these cars. The cops will harass them, beat them, and what were they doing? They were doing ride sharing. Poor people with their personal cars trying to help make some more money by helping their community get around. The government, these white people, clamp down, beat, arrest, it's not licensed. Then their own children carry one app, then do the same thing, so that they can be collecting the money from those gypsy drivers that were working for themselves before. Then now it's legal. It's legal
right,
and okay.
Let's take some messages via Instagram Live. This is coming from Filey saying, if there's even a bigger disconnect between the so-called elite and poor masses in Nigeria. Those of them in government care less about what happens to the citizen. This is coming from Call Me Nidu saying, thank you, Seun, for speaking the truth. Hashim Concept is saying, humanity first, religion is secondary. Let's take this call and then move on to another story. Lagos Talks.
Good morning, Ify.
Good morning.
General Shehu, good morning.
Good morning, no.
I greet you.
I greet my brother.
The thing is that in Nigeria, we say we are one. Then we have different laws in different areas. I'm a driver. I drive. If you leave Lagos to Benin, from Benin to go to Abuja, that side, it's a different world entirely. If you are passing the road, you see the kind of laws that are applied on the road in that side. It's different from this side. Now, the law that we have here, we have a Sharia law in the north, we have another law in this side. There's no platform for the youth. If the youth do something, police will beat you, except you have someone that has money. If you don't have someone that has money, you just suffer and suffer. At the end of the day, you may throw you in prison. The youth are careful because no one to fight for them. And the government are not doing anything. You know the 3 bosses we have, those are the representing Nigeria for bosses. They didn't grow up in it. They travel outside and fight for themselves. Now they are representing Nigerians. No platform for them yet. I don't just understand. Look at Lagos State, they are bringing this law. The Uber people, all of them, I'm a graduate, but I'm a driver. All of them, a lot of them are graduates. So where are they going to start from? If you sit down, you have a wife, you have children, you have to feed them. Well, we just follow. But thank you. I'm happy for this program. I'll be following it for the first day you started it.
Thank
That's
you.
lovely.
Woo, woo.
I believe that I will always be on.
Thank
I
you.
like that.
Because I believe this is where the truth are coming out.
Thank you.
I love that.
Thank you.
Just before we just move on, I just believe that there are just so many things that we can pick out of how flawed this regulation is, how non-African it is, just coming from your
Yeah,
perspective.
definitely.
But dealing with the lower hanging fruit, I believe the government is doing a huge disservice to the people. Because they did mention, when people were asking, okay, were the stakeholders that are involved in this e-hailing companies, were they included? They had mentioned, oh yes, they included them, but apparently, after some investigation by some news outlets, they did say that these stakeholders were called to a meeting last week Wednesday, and then, without prior notice, they then postponed the meeting. The meeting took place on Thursday without them being there. So what they got was a call to tell them, listen, follow the guidelines. This is what we are going to be doing moving forward. How do you make such a decision? Because one of the officials actually even did mention that they took a look at how these, e-hailing companies in other parts of the world are being regulated.
Yeah.
And I'm asking, when you were taking that cue, did you take into consideration our system? That country or those countries, are they referred to as the poverty capital of the world? Do they have issues with transportation already? So is this a situation where you are driving a square peg into our unending cycle of poverty circle in Nigeria? Because it's just very confusing. So you're coming out to tell us that, oh, we took a look at, the platform or the blueprint of other countries regulating this. And I'm like, did you really take a look at what our system is saying? Because you just put a huge burden on Nigerians during this season, and I believe this is a disservice, and I'm very disappointed in the government for such a regulation.
I mean, I think with the free flow of information, of this generation, Africans will be able to see our leaders for what they truly are. Well, the misleaders. Let me not use my. So we should not be lying on radio anymore. African will be able to see the misleaders of Africa for what they truly are.
All right, let's just take this call. Lagos Talks.
It's a good afternoon or good morning.
Good morning. Who's speaking?
Well, my name is Bami Billy. To start with, let me say that I am a graduate. I drive on Uber.
Okay.
All right. I don't like the way Seun is kind of attacking these e-hailing companies.
Okay.
Before they came into Nigeria, okay, we had about 2-3 companies that were giving relatively the same service that Uber came to give.
Okay.
But unfortunately, they couldn't deliver. Of course, the reason you can...
What were these companies' names?
Oga Taxi, maybe I should mention one.
Yeah.
No. Are you sure it came first?
No, the
Uber was first, brother. But continue. Don't worry. Continue.
Uber and Taxify, they came with a business model that is working.
Okay.
Millions of dollars from America.
And it's working because by the time you look at the number of drivers they've been able to bring in and what those ones take home, you will realize that they started something. Just that's from the point of view of the e-hailing company. Now, if by government is now looking at how to regulate them, I think it is not out of place. But I totally support what it is said. How can a government that is willing to organize people is trying to put more burden on Nigerians at a time such as this? It clearly tells you how irresponsible our government is. And this cycle will continue for as long as we are like this docile generation.
Oh, wow. I felt that. That was very
it's true. I mean, we are quite docile, but I don't want him to say I was harsh on Uber. I'm not harsh enough.
I like that. Anyways, guys, we have to move on quickly to the very last story. Seun made mention misleadership. Now, this is one story that you probably would love to talk about. Let's talk about the former Minister of Petroleum, Desiani Alison Madueke. So last weekend, I believe it was on a Friday. Oh, I like that. Last weekend, this former Minister of Petroleum, Desiani, she was delivering a lecture. You see, I feel like there's so many parts of this story that I really don't understand. She was delivering a lecture at a virtual event, and she then said that, societal values have disintegrated to the extent that online fraudsters, otherwise known as Yahoo boys, have become the role models in the Nigerian society. She was, guys, you need to go on Instagram Live to see what she was doing. At Lagos Talk 913, go check it out. So when she was speaking at this event was supposedly organized by the Ijaw National Development Group, and Desiani was stressing the need for mentorship of the Ijaw youths. She said, and I quote, "The ones that have swag, the Yahoo boys, as my son would say, these in short are the role models that they are looking at. These are the ones that reinforce negative societal norms and values. This is a travesty of an unfolding tragedy for us. Why have I spent time talking about fatherless homes and the impact that they have on our children? The truth of the matter is that an irresponsible boy tends to become an irresponsible man, and it is therefore a vicious cycle."
Wow.
Before we actually begin to dissect this, Seun, this message that she gave, is there anything wrong in the message? I'm not talking about the messenger. This message that she gave, is there anything wrong in that message?
I was going to come to this messenger and message because Obasanjo just gave us message yesterday that the youth should not allow old people to rule anymore. After he ruled at the age of 70 for 8 years.
Oh my God.
So
what she said about, Yahoo becoming the new culture, the new role models.
This is why I always talk about feminism. Also.
Okay.
Desiani is a woman, right? So women being elevated to positions of power, we are being told by the feminists, is what we need to change the world. That's all we need. So look at this kind of woman now. What does that say?
And you know what? I share in your sentiments.
I agree that what a man can do, a woman can do it better when it comes to situations like this, as I see. I mean, that is proven now. Because here we have a criminal. Sorry, you say what a man can do, a woman can do better. Yes. So in what case? Like in the context of what? Of this corruption business that we have in Nigeria.
She's the first person to be corrupt.
But she's doing it better.
Can you imagine?
Now, Dr. Amos Wilson said something. He said, when society collectively looks into the mirror, into the faces of its criminals, when society collectively looks into the faces of its criminals, it looks in a mirror at a reflection of its own likeness. Okay, so if our youths are engaging in massive fraud, it is because our nation is being defrauded from the top massively. The criminality, so crime and criminality, right? Okay, so crime can be committed in error. You can be walking with your friend, you push him, he falls off the step, breaks his neck and dies. Manslaughter, you've committed a crime. You never meant it, you didn't even plan it. You don't know. Crime is something that you are not in complete control of. But you see, criminality, that's a different thing. Criminality is your choice to be a criminal. Criminality is when, regardless of whatever ease you have in your life, you choose to commit crime. And that's where Desiani falls in. Completely. All the billions they've accused her of siphoning, when did she think it was enough? 1 billion, 2 billion, 3 billion. You have 10 billion, you are still stealing. Okay. The Yahoo boy, for me, is nothing but a reflection of the oppression that they go through in the presence of the children of Nigerian elites who look down on the poor, who silence them because they have no money, no connection, as we say here in Nigeria. So what are we saying to young people when we alienate them due to poverty and they see an avenue?
Honestly speaking,
what is real crime in Nigeria? Is Desiani talking about fraud, $10,000, $100,000, $150,000 fraud, $200,000 fraud that all these boys are doing? When Nigeria, money laundering alone in a day out of this country by the rich, which is a more detrimental crime to our development because it takes away tax money that should be used to develop schools, hospitals, roads, and all these things that we are going to beg Oyibo for to come and do. Every time I'm driving, I see a road construction, I see white people there building I feel ashamed. 2020, we can't even build roads on our own. You understand? So why are we not, if we are really about crime, money laundering is. The Panama Papers came out in this country. Do you know how many Nigerians name? Let me not name, because I even have one friend whose name was on it. Yeah. So if I'm going to name, I have to name everybody. Let me just go and Google Panama Papers yourself. Take your time. Use your data well. It was they caught rich people of the world hiding their money in this Panama. And now they have many places, so Seychelles, yes. But this Panama was exposed. Go and see the amount of Nigerians hiding our money there. I mean, and somebody is here, somebody they are looking for is telling us about
Right. So, okay, you know what? I do share in your sentiments, but there are a few things I would like to say, because this is now a conversation about the chicken and egg situation. Now, I believe that the rot of our society comes from the bottom. And the reason why I'm saying this is, I believe that every member of society that has been given to society to be a key player of society came from the family front. If the family front is flawed, it will produce flawed people. These leaders came from the grassroots. Let me explain it to you. When I say the grassroots, they came from the family units. These leaders.
Yeah.
So these leaders are a result of the Nigerian system. Now that we've gone so far to a point where our system has been deeply eroded, where we have the wrong people in leadership, then we can talk about, okay, how do we eradicate such, leaders? Because if we are taking a look at really what caused this rot, it started from the community, right? So now that these leaders are in this position, okay,
I'm with you.
We begin to take a look at the youth engagement in determining who our leaders are. Because these same leaders, I believe, are able to continue their unending cycle of bad leadership, because come the elections, who is available for these leaders to use as political thugs? Our youth. And over 60% of Nigerians are less than 40. Do you think that there will be any change? Because now it's no longer about, because we know that these are wrongs. The Yahoo boy is wrong, and our leadership is wrong. Now, just taking a look at a more solution-based perspective. If the youth is apolitical, do you not think that these same leaders will continue this unending cycle?
Okay, so how do the youth become politicized? Let's start from the original. I say, these people come from within us. I want to say, not all skin folk is kin folk. That is something one of our great ancestors, John Henry Clark, said. Not all skin folk is kin folk. So just for us to understand that, because people are black like us, or are Nigerians as they say, or are Yoruba, or Hausa, doesn't mean they are of us. They are part of us. These are people that have already been groomed. I always say, we have to read our history in Nigeria. We have to see the kind of people that were elevated to positions of power. The Nigerian military is the most powerful institution in this country.
Yeah.
Its members control majority of Nigeria's resources, from oil to food to whatever. They are the all in all. So how was the Nigerian military created that trained and indoctrinated these people? They were the black people. Always remember that. I don't call them Africans. These were the black people that were willing to kill African people to protect Western interests. And they've ruled us from 1966 till date. So these people have agreed on a fundamental level that they are not of us. So we cannot blame ourselves for their actions. We need to now impose ourselves. If we really believe, if we do not believe how they call us or what they see us as, we must begin to impose ourselves and our will on these people, because it will never come from within them, So the rot in Nigeria actually, funny enough, starts from the top.
I mean, like I said, chicken and egg situation. Because we ourselves, as Nigerians, we defraud ourselves. Are we going to be blaming the president when my fellow Nigerian is defrauding?
Man must work.
You see, that's the thing.
If your fellow Nigerian had his welfare,
okay,
he won't have to defraud you.
Hence me saying the chicken and egg situation.
We must fight for this welfare to be in place.
Because if people are being,
so we can know our true
corrupt,
selves.
are we always going to blame the leadership? If we are defrauding our brothers and sisters, maybe someone borrows money from us or whatever, are we going to then say, okay, the reason why I've defrauded you, Buhari or
that's what I said,
our leaders?
Crime. Like me now, I've never stolen in my life. But I've committed different other crimes that if police were following me every second, it's true, if police were following me, they will catch me for something. We all commit some kind of crime. It's just the way it is, So what I'm saying is that African people, we don't know each other because we've not been given what we need to be our true selves. Many of us have to, move around and just try to make things happen.
All right, let's just take one more call before we wrap this up. Lagos Talks, good afternoon. Who's speaking?
Yeah, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Yeah, I'm so glad to meet you for
All right. What's your name?
program.
Who's speaking?
Yeah, my name is Shadabaya.
All right, let's hear you very quickly so that we can wrap this up.
Okay, yeah, I want to correct a little impression that you said. From my opinion, I think this whole corruption, this whole thing about the whole thing going on in this country, corruption, all those things, I think it actually starts from the top.
Okay.
We should not look at the grassroots of this or we. It's from the top. And just give the example of the family. It's the same thing. Now, this is how I see it work. If those are the top, who are supposed to do what? Govern us. It's just a simple thing. Govern. Govern means for you to lead people. Now, if you're governing these people and you have a set of rules that you have laid down for people to follow, and you enforce this rule, things will go smoothly. Every human being has the potential to go through the back door. If you let them, everywhere in the world. But the truth is, if there are laws and you know that they are enforcing these laws, things will work in place. Now let me give you an example.
He's right, the enforcement of laws.
Okay.
Look at the situation. There was a time we're no longer using it, but when we discover that they're going to catch you or something, what do people fell in line? Now, if your parents knows that there is a law that is set, and if you are caught, this will happen, those parents, knowing that, will train their children not to go contrary to this law, because this is what will happen. Discipline will come down through the whole line. It's not rocket science.
All right. We would have to let you go. What I would say is this. I believe when we're taking a look at corruption, I believe it's multifactorial, right? The fact that we are corrupt and the government is corrupt, they are not mutually exclusive. Right, so we need to take responsibility.
Yeah, definitely.
Yes, on one hand, we should hold our government officials aggressively accountable to us. On the other hand, we should do better as Nigerians.
But if you defraud me now, how do I even get my money from you if I go and call police? The police that should come and make sure that they follow the law, that you're a thief, will come and take bribe from you and you get away with it. That is why people are able to do it, and it comes from lack of an organization from our government. Nigerians have not been given the opportunity, I repeat, to be their best selves. And until that time, I cannot judge them for what they do to survive in this madness that we call a country, you know?
But how long are we going to keep waiting for that opportunity?
Oh, no, until we are ready. I mean, that is where I blame Nigerians. The professionals of Nigeria need to get up and organize the people.
All right, guys, it's 3 minutes past 12. It was a fiery episode of The People's Perspective. I felt
Thanks
it. I
for
hope
being
you felt
online
it as well. Thank you so much, Seun. It was always a pleasure having you in the studio. Seun, would you say goodbye?
Yeah. Bye, everybody. Everybody on my IG Live, everybody that tuned in on radio. You are making this a really lively show. We love you all.
We are Lagos Talks 91.3.
Let's talk.